DC News Now. Voters are hitting the polls for a primary election in Maryland. Why they say this race is critical. If you're headed to the polls, you may need an umbrella. We're seeing scattered showers this afternoon. Meteorologist Damon Matson is tracking wet weather hour by hour. Demolition of the Key Bridge underway in Baltimore. The estimated timeline for the work to get done. Also, we're stretching your dollar with a DMV supermarket price check to know what you pay before you go to the grocery store.
I thought I was like dreaming.
And a bear spotted in Northern Virginia. Hear from neighbors reacting to their new friendly furry resident. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the news at noon. I'm Mark Hall. DC News Now is your local election headquarters, and primaries taking place today in Maryland and West Virginia. The race, of course, is neck and neck between two Democrats seeking the U.S. Senate seat in Maryland. DC News Now's Leonard and Fleming is live at Walter Johnson High School. Leonard, you spoke with voters today. What do they have to say?
Indeed, I spoke with several voters, and several of the people I talked to, even though turnout will be low, they're still very proud to be able to go out and vote today. Even though voters are today, there was a bit of a turnout for early voting. According to the unofficial early voting turnout document by the state, 3.6 million people participated in early voting. I spoke to a few voters here at this high school, a new precinct added in the county.
Primary day, very excited. One of very few people, it appears, who are participating in the voting this year.
I'm always somewhat excited. I vote all the time, every time, primaries and general, for many, many years. I'm glad to be able to make this election.
The Democrats are vying to face Larry Hogan, and those two Democrats in this primary for the Senate race are Angela Alsobrooks and David Trone. They're vying to face Larry Hogan this coming fall. He is the presumptive Republican nominee in that race. Reporting from Bethesda, Maryland, Leonard and Fleming, DC News Now, back to you.
All right, Leonard, thank you. Take a look at this. This year's local elections could have a major impact on the balance of power in the Senate. Democrats currently have a slight majority. However, flipping one Senate seat from blue to red would give the final say to the vice president. Flipping two seats would give Republicans full control. On the Maryland side, former Governor Larry Hogan expects to dominate today's primary. However, his criticism over former President Donald Trump could impact the support that he gets from his own voters in his own party. Now, 6 other Republicans are running against Hogan for the Republican nomination. All right, let's head to West Virginia. And the winner of today's Republican primary is likely to take over retiring Democrat Senator Joe Manchin's seat. Current Governor Jim Justice and current Representative Alex Mooney are the leading candidates for the GOP nomination. The Republican candidate who wins is expected to also win the general election because West Virginia is a red state. Well, major positions will also be up for grabs in Virginia this year, and that includes one seat in each of the 11 seats in the House. The Commonwealth will hold primary elections on June 18th, but you have until May 28th to register to vote, and you can register for a mail-in ballot until June 7th. Early in-person voting starts the next day and lasts 1 week. Well, the Department of Justice is increasing efforts to track down and punish anyone threatening election voters. According to the Brennan Center for Justice, nearly 40% of election workers say they've experienced threats or harassment.
Different climate than what existed prior, and every single one of them is concerned about security. They're concerned about false information and disinformation. They're concerned about funding.
Well, the Attorney General says that DOJ's task force on election threats has prosecuted more than a dozen people over the past 3 years. Mayor Muriel Bowser's approval is dropping. A new poll from the Washington Post shows that her approval rating hitting the lowest point in the last 9 years. More than 650 people living in D.C. took part in the poll, and according to the Washington Post, less than half of the people said that they approve of the mayor's performance. She had approval of 58% back in 2022, and people surveyed said that issues like public safety, public schools, and homelessness contributed to her low approval. All right, meteorologist Damon Matson joins us for the latest check on the forecast. And of course, Damon, it's primary day for people in Maryland and West Virginia. Hopefully that weather is going to hold up, but it looks like it could rain a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, Mark, we are seeing the clouds out there. That threat of some soggy weather is certainly there as we go through the rest of the day. But for the time being, for any voters that have been out and about at least early on, other than some light rain showers, we're not seeing anything too significant. We're just now starting to see the leading edge of this next storm system bring in some of these scattered showers, and they continue to be out there now as we go into the early afternoon. We have one batch down across Virginia through parts of Fauquier and Prince William County. And then as you go up into Maryland along the South Mountain corridor between Washington and Frederick counties, that's where we have the highest concentration of rainfall at this point. There have been some showers crossing through Montgomery County as well, but they remain rather scattered for the time being. But as we look at the bigger picture here, there is still plenty of rainfall down to the south and also back to the west, closer to the center of low pressure with this storm system. So there's still a lot of soggy weather to come over the next couple of days, but the key is we're trying to hold that off at least until we get through the day today. Hopefully everybody can get out and vote then without needing the umbrella, but the chance for scattered rain showers, it is there. As we go through the rest of the afternoon, some pockets of steadier rain could develop by later on tonight. So we'll talk about when you should expect some of this steadier rain and when this storm system might get out of here, coming up, and a look at your full forecast in just a bit.
All right, Damon, thank you. Police in the district are leaving dozens of drivers with tickets and a lesson on road safety. It's all part of the Street Smart program, looking to improve pedestrian and bicyclist safety in our region. DC News Now's Virginia reporter Max Marcilla explains.
It was a very traumatic event, as oftentimes pedestrian accidents tend to be.
Helen Harris says the physical and psychological healing from the crash that led to her left leg being amputated has been a huge component of her life. But as we speak with her on Zoom more than 5 years after the crash, there's a new purpose. Why was it so important, given what you went through, for you to kind of advocate for pedestrians?
This is something that unfortunately happens to many individuals across our community.
Just steps away from where we spoke with Harris. The work of a campaign she's a part of and helped inspire, the Street Smart campaign. It's partnered with several police departments in our region aimed at teaching and promoting pedestrian and bicyclist safety. These officers are pulling over drivers who failed to stop as another officer crossed the street back and forth over and over here in Southeast on the corner of MLK Avenue and V Street. Drivers getting a ticket and a lesson.
The reason people kind of forget about warnings, but they remember the tickets because they have to pay them.
What would be your message to drivers, considering you're an important voice in this conversation?
Nothing is as important as getting home safely. You don't have to be in a rush. You don't have to check your phone. Pay attention to stoplights, to pedestrians, to cyclists. We all have to inhabit the streets together.
Demolition crews detonating explosives on the wreckage of the collapsed Key Bridge in Baltimore. The explosion sending large chunks of metal splashing into the river, and officials say that this is the safest and fastest way to remove a major piece of the collapsed bridge blocking the ships. Engineers made precise cuts in the steel and sent electrical charges through the metal to create this explosion. Destroying this part of the bridge allows crews to remove the pieces safely and quicker. This brings the unified command team leading the operation to one step closer to reopening the port. Governor Westmore says the demolition keeps them on track for their goal to reopen the port by the end of this month. Lawmakers are expected to hear testimony about the ongoing investigation into the bridge collapse tomorrow, and a House committee will hear from the NTSB, the Coast Guard, and the Army Corps of Engineers. Well, and we're continuing to track prices at the grocery store. Weekend anchor Ben Dennis is diving into the data, searching for deals up and down the aisle.
Yet another grocery price check as we check in weekly on what you'll pay at the supermarket before you head down the aisle. This is what we found in the past week and 2 months at Walmart, Giant, and Safeway. From what's on the shelf to what's behind the freezer doors, prices are fluctuating across major grocery stores. The USDA said grocery prices rose 5% last year when meats, dairy, and fats and oils got more costly. Meantime, they say food prices have increased 25% over the past 4 years. We're sizing up 10 pantry essentials at Walmart, Giant, and Safeway. Good news in the past week, though not great. Most prices for our 10 essentials stayed roughly the same, only a few fluctuated. According to lowest prices published online, for a 2% gallon of milk, for example, $2.59 at Walmart, $3.99 at Giant, $4.99 at Safeway. Russet potatoes around $1 between these stores. Wheat bread is $1.50 cheaper at Walmart compared to Giant. Brown eggs at Walmart did go up 40 cents in the past week for a carton of 12, though still cheapest here. How do costs compared to 2 months ago? An avocado rose $1 at Safeway. Brown eggs up 79 cents for a carton of 12 at Giant. Chicken breast per pound up $1 across the board. Before heading to the store, do yourself a favor and check digital coupons, including store apps on your phone to bring down what you pay at the register. Store loyalty programs can also offer discounts and cash back. What's to come? Well, the USDA predicts that grocery prices will rise 1.2% throughout 2024. If you're dining out, that's expected to go up 4.2%. Tracking what you pay to stretch your dollar at the grocery store. Ben Dennis, DC News Now.